This will be a review show like no other, as it is not a review show. This is an assessment of comic books. We're going to be doing assessments based upon the work within inside. This is not meant in any way, shape, or form to be a negative show, just for views. Nor is it an ass-kissing show for creators. I will break down comics that are given to me, and I will do assessments based on all the criteria that make it a comic book that is worth buying or not worth buying, with honest feedback, in hopes that the creators that do watch it might actually learn from it. And for those books that are high quality, this show will showcase them and actually advocate for them in the highest way we can by telling people this is a book to buy. This is a show for comic book fans and is meant to make sure the people spending money on comic books are rewarded for that choice. Understand, I am formally trained in assessing people's performance, and I am a comic book fan for over 30 years. I have personally worked on over a dozen comic books myself. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. And by kinda, I mean I do. So sit back and find out more about me, the devil, right now.
Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the devilish comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the Comics Devil by going to MrAnderson.com.
So, we are actually live. Welcome to it. Welcome to it, guys. We are excited you could be with us today. We have Cold-Blooded on the agenda today, as well as The Shepherd and Belial. Of course, like it was said in the intro, this is not meant to be anything but an assessment. I have over 10 years, actually close to almost 20 years of managerial training and use, so I do know how to do an assessment. These assessments are not meant in any way, shape, or form to at all attack any one person or any group. This is my assessment of a comic book that I am given. Of course, these comic books have been given to us. We didn't go out and just take these books and review them. So this was requested, and I'm not going to go much more into it. We did record something a little earlier that you guys can definitely check out, and I do suggest doing that. If you want more information about that, please do take the time to actually go watch that video. It will explain exactly the ins and outs of why I'm doing this and how it's going to be different. But I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want to get right into it. I want to talk to you amazing fans of comic books about the books I was given this week. Now, just so you guys know, we are going to be grading it on a system that reflects the actual desire to own the book. We are still working out the exact ins and outs of it, but we are going to be using a system that has to do with purchasing the book as opposed to not purchasing it. So I do encourage you guys to understand that this is a reflection of a market value and is therefore based upon what I perceive to be whether or not it is a product that is worth buying. It comes down to just simply that. I wanted to make this something very simple. I didn't want it to make it anything extraordinarily difficult to understand. And I hope you guys appreciate exactly what I'm going for. And the rating system here that I have so far is I want my time and money back. Obviously, that will not be a good book, if you couldn't tell already. Look, a comic. Basically, someone has done the bare minimum to make a comic book. Readable generally means that, you know, it entertained. It was worth the money I invested. I need to get a board and bag. Obviously, it is something that you're going to be cherishing, and I am CGing this comic, meaning you've become a collectible, you become a collector item up for it, you love it, and you're going to be a fan of the creator. So we're going to start off with Cold-Blooded. Now, everything I do, I'm going to be doing without sarcasm, without any type of emotion. You guys are going to notice that this is a very cold sounding, not cold, but definitely formal review. You won't hear a lot of sense of humor in this show. This is going to be straight facts. So we're going to talk about Cold-Blooded. All right, so we have Cold-Blooded up right now, and the book was kickstarted, and it successfully funded. It looks $872 that was raised on Kickstarter, and we are going to be talking about this book now. Just for anyone watching, I'm going to try to keep these shows as quick as possible with a 30-minute time limit. In other words, I don't want any of these shows to go longer than 30 minutes. So that is my goal right now, to keep these shows under 30 minutes to give you guys entertainment for your value and your money. Entertainment, a well-written comic, and great art for the value of your backing, which is buying the book. So with all of that amazing stuff in mind, I am going to get you where we got to go, and that is looking at this book, and we're going to call up some frames from it. All right, I am going to start right here. All right, let's get this straight out of the way. The art has definitely some struggles in keeping continuity. I found a lot of issues. For instance, right here, as part of the story part, the gentleman here, who's a main character, is naked because he can transform into a lizard. And of course, this is Cold-Blooded and this is story, art, and I believe editing. There's no editor and lettering by Perry Edwards. So Perry decided to do this all on his own, and there's a lot of problems with it. We see the lettering right here, and for those in the radio, what we're seeing, so I'm going to explain it to you, you're seeing an actual word balloon over the character's face. So the artist who then put a word balloon, put it over his own art, it's just bad enough. You have in other areas where it's hard to tell who might even be talking at times because you can't tell if it's a thought bubble or not. The lettering itself is hard to read. It doesn't follow any standards. The lettering is problematic, even putting lettering on top of characters' faces for no apparent reason. The story is definitely off with the dialogue that is used. It is problematic. It is definitely hard to even keep up with the story. You're taken out by the problems that you see within the art. The book is 200 pages. I believe the actual page count was around 196 pages. It was a long book, and it was a couple issues. This was a graphic novel. It just was not quality that you would expect to be released on the open market. This is something that should have been a first try from an artist and writer who wanted to get the opinion of other people. I've talked about it before. Comics are not storyboards. This proves the point. This is a book that is storyboarded with just a little bit more detail, and it comes off very, very difficult to follow, very difficult to even continue to want to turn the page. I'll be honest, if I had bought this book, I would have stopped reading it and just called it a day. I did want to assess the entire book. You can't make an assessment without fully finishing it. I went from cover to cover, or in this case, PDF to beginning to end. It had bad dialogue. Again, a storyboard that became a comic book. It was more tropes and ideas that the person clearly saw. I walk away with the story feeling like, honestly, bully revenge porn. It's a lot of pages. It's a lot of art. You know, I don't want to leave anyone in the lurch of just saying bad things about a book. There are a lot of problems here. You could have benefited from having an editor. As we're looking through some of these pages, it becomes painfully clear that no one was there to help guide him through mistakes. There are points where you can't even read the wording he's tried to use. And it's just not knowing how to use the proper font settings, even using the correct actual font, how to use the tools that will help you make the lettering pop, depending on what program you're using. None of that is really known in here. And as we're looking at all these photos, and people, I took this from my phone to let you guys see how this comes across, actually, if you're going to be reading it on the phone. And it's ironic because he shows earlier art at the end of the book, and I'll be honest, the earlier art looks better. This seems to me to be a rushed project. This is something someone just wanted to get done as quick as they could to prove that they could make a comic book. That is not what a comic book is. There's a lot of elements missing in this comic book, like proper lettering. There's a lot to do with even pacing the story. The story's pacing is horrible. The dialogue is barely readable. The story doesn't make sense at points. It feels very rushed. The art, you can tell there are just parts of the book where the art was rushed so quickly that obvious mistakes were made. Shortcuts were taken. There are just parts that makes no sense where shadowing is. It's very difficult. I applaud the ability to create something of this size. Definitely someone who believed in what they were doing, but without an editor, I'm sorry, you got lost in the weeds, as it could be said. And I don't mean that sarcastically. I really do think that you got lost as a creator, not knowing how to get the story done because you just kept creating and you never stopped and you never got feedback. There's just a lot of problems here. This should not be released. Not only do I want my time back, I didn't even pay for the book, but I would want my money back. If I backed this project, I was a little hesitant. I put out a disclaimer. I told him, I'm not going to be gentle. This is going to be honest. This is very problematic. This entire book gives me pause. It gives me pause and makes me wonder why the creator wasn't asking for more feedback from other people. And, I hope the creator listens to me, gets himself an editor, gets himself out there in front of someone who can help him. If you're passionate enough to make a 200-page book, you should be passionate enough to listen to an editor. We're going to move on. Belial. So I had the opportunity to read this a while ago, and I came back and I reread it because I wanted to know if there's anything I might have missed. When you're reading something as a fan as opposed to assessing it, you are going to look at things differently. We're going to take a look at some of the art right now. And I can tell you honestly that Chuck is a friend. He has worked on a lot of my projects, but I am not related to this project. I don't feel at all as though I have a problem reviewing it. With that said, the art tells a story along with the dialogue. The humor is spot on. I absolutely love the humor behind the book. I thought the art meshed with that amazing dialogue, and I'll give credit. This is amazing dialogue. I was really blown away by the dialogue. The characters jump off the page. They all sound different. It's very easy to follow. Definitely humor. If you like humor, this is a book that definitely delivers on that. And humor is not always easy to deliver in the page. Overall, I think the runaway character is Link within it, and Link is this imp who definitely runs away with most of the show. He's the standout character. Overall, the entire book has a great flow. I found myself wishing there was more, and that's what you want to do. You want to get to the end of the book and go, wow, I really wish there was more to read. I can't wait for issue number 2. And I'll tell you, I'm not only getting this bag and a board, I'm sending this to CGC, and I'm getting it graded because it is that good of a book. I'm not even, we're not doing reviews here. As an assessment, this would be an Employee of the Month candidate. Let's put it that way. Really, really top-notch, professional grade material here. I love having this on one of our first shows that I can actually, as a fan of it too, absolutely love talking about it. But I did honestly find a problem. Here's my problem. This page, which I believe sets up things for the near future. Full disclosure, I'm dyslexic. I have trouble reading. That trouble reading could have an element with this, but this is just absolutely awfully horrible for me to read. I struggled with it. There are words that actually disappear into it. I am not a fan of this last page. Does it affect anything about the book? No, not really. This is an advertisement for the next book. If anything, it hurts the next book. But after reading what I just read, honestly, still Employee of the Month. Nothing can ever be perfect. And I really do feel like sometimes some of the things when you're doing assessments, because you're so in the mindset to find something wrong, the minute something triggers in your mind, it's a problem. You can't unsee it. I'm sure a lot of people, probably not dyslexic, would not have the same problems I did. So Belial, no doubt, should have had more than 132 backers when it was brought to life. An amazing, amazing project. Chuck Pino is the creative team behind this, along with Sean Barber. And I'm sorry I don't have the credits up. Let's see if we can get the rest of the team mentioned on here. So we definitely want to give some credit and give out some possible Employee of the Month trophies away here, because this assessment went really well. Let's see. Okay, so here's Sean. We got, oh, am I showing you? Yeah, I'm showing you the right screen. Sorry. I'm on my laptop. The screen's a little smaller. There's Chuck. There's Greg Wanachuk. I'm sorry I'm saying that wrong. Penciler did a great job. And Scott Wielden did some lettering for the book. And Wendy Gale is the editor. Honestly, superb, superb book. Okay, we're going to move on to Caliber. Caliber Comics gives us The Shepherd from one of my friends, again, a friend of mine, Molinari. Let me tell you, I did a review of this a few years ago. Full disclosure, did a review. I love this project. I absolutely love the storytelling. I think everything about it was fantastic. But again, I wanted to go into this fair. I wanted to take another look at it, so I asked for the PDF. I'm going to show you guys some promotional art I was sent to show off while I did this. So this is the first book of many. It combines all the different issues inside. So what we're seeing in this book is just the beginning of the story, which is absolutely amazing. So, by the way, Belial, I didn't really give the pitch for it. So Belial, just so you know, it deals with Belial's been kicked out of hell. He's the creator of hell. Instead, Lucifer's in there now. And Belial's tired of being made fun of, and he's taken back what's his. Cold-blooded, it's just a trope movie. So I didn't really know even how to pitch it. So I didn't want to try. It was about a guy who turns into a lizard, and he doesn't like bullies, and he's looking for his dad. It's like I said, the story jumps a little bit, so it's even hard for me to give you a proper pitch on that one. But The Shepherd, I could tell you, is the grief of a father who loses a son, cannot live with that, and has to go into the afterlife when he hears his son calling to him to help him. So this is The Shepherd. Just absolutely an amazingly well-told story. Andrea did an amazing job. Really impressed by it. Developed characters, again, that came off the page. Great art in the book. And while we do not have a Kickstarter, because I don't believe this has ever been Kickstarted, this volume that I have here, it has been brought to us by Caliber Comics. You guys can see such amazing art, reminiscence of the 90s, very much so to me. When I look at this, I feel like I see the 90s in art storytelling. So The Shepherd, amazing, amazing book. Here we go. Let's see if we can get up that team for you so we can tell. I know Roberto, his son, plays a part in the writing along with him. And the writers are Andrea Molinari, Roberto Xavier Molinari. Ryan Showers did the art along with Heather Breckel. An amazing book, just pulls on your heartstrings. Really is one of those books that makes you stop, think, and at the end of it, you're left wanting to hug your loved ones. An amazing job, an amazing team put together. Even this book, though, I found a problem when I went to my assessment. Now, this is, again, a book I would CGC. This is just one of those books. I actually have the book. I have it stored carefully away, signed by the creator. It's in my collector's box, which is wrapped for the hurricane, okay? That is the value I hold on this particular product. It really is, again, another Employee of the Month candidate. Really, I mean, okay, so like it was hard to find something wrong with it. Again, this might just be me nitpicking, and I'll own it. When you're going into assessment mode, you have to nitpick. It's part of the manager training. So here it is. The cursing. The cursing is not done naturally. It's that cartoon cursing where they use the and the number sign and the exclamation points and the periods to remove the words. So instead of it saying fuck, you see F, 2 characters, and the K. I felt that this is such an adult story. It deals with substance abuse problems. It deals with the afterlife. It deals with suicide. I felt that it's such an adult property that was disingenuous. However, I do have to stress this. You're talking to the indie devil, the COMiX creator, the guy who makes Fetish Monsters and more. I am not at all insulted by cursing at all. There are some people who might feel that. I reached out to Andrea before I went live last night. I read the book and I reached out to him and I said, hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I found something problematic. I want to talk to you about it. He's like, okay, hit me. And I reached out to him because honestly, I didn't feel like this was a huge giveaway to tell him that I had the problem with this. And he said, okay, tell me what you see. Told him, and he was like, well, that's a personal choice. We do that because we don't want to turn off or turn away any readers. I respect and understand that. To me, it might not be offensive. To others, it may be. So there is a creator trying to get a bigger audience for all of his hard work. So, I mean, again, this is a book to not only own, but CGC. This is something that hits all the markers. So what are the markers? The markers, the art. Get check. And with Belial, check. Cold-blooded, no. The art had problems. Lettering, check for Belial and for the other book on our program today, which was The Shepherd, but Cold-blooded, just, again, lettering, problems. If a balloon goes in front of a face, you've just lost. Nothing else will matter, and that wasn't the only problem. The minute a balloon's on a face, you unless there's a reason or there's a reveal coming, and story. Story has to be told with the art. Now notice, I'm not talking about art styles. I will not be talking about art styles. I will be talking whether or not the art flows with the story. Cold-blooded had a lot of problems with that. Caliber Comics Shepherd did not have a problem with that. And Belial, that with that lovable little link, had no problems telling a story with art. Finally, did I find errors, and whether it be spelling errors or dialogue errors? Was there things that removed me from the story? We'll start with Belial, had none of those. The Shepherd did not have any of those problems. And of course, I don't expect there to be 2 candidates on a particular stream. I'm going to do 3 each on each of these episodes. 3 books, or because sometimes people will give a graphic novel. So 3 titles, we'll call it, a particular episode. Cold-blooded, problems again. That's it. That's the end of the show. We have 2 books that I recommend not only buying, but CGCing. You can find all the books. Well, you can find 2 of them on Kickstarter just by looking up at the name. Cold-blooded you can find on Kickstarter. I do not recommend this book. I cannot. I think that it would be a waste of people's money. It is not there. It needs more development, and it needs an editor. Andrea can be found at Caliber Comics, which you'll find right here. And our friend Chuck can be found on Kickstarter as well. I think Kickstarter has a link for you to buy the book from whichever teammate will have it. And they also have a Facebook group. And again, Belial is spelled Belial. It is the original creator of Hell. So just look up Belial on Kickstarter, Cold-blooded on Kickstarter, or look up Caliber Comics. That's it for the show. If you guys have any feedback, I'm not asking for it. This is not one of those shows where I need your feedback. This will be on Geek Insider and on MrAnderson.com. I am not open to really discussing these things that I have found during this assessment outside of anyone but the creator. The creators are more than welcome to have a private discussion or a public one if they feel it's necessary. However, the rest of the commenting, because of this is about what I see, it is not open for debate. I don't mean that meanly. I mean that honestly. Like, we will not be engaging in your fandom over a particular product in any of the upcoming things, episodes. If this gets picked up by Geek Insider, then we will continue this format. There's no apologies. This is what it is. You put the book out. This is how I responded. I'm not wrong for the things I've pointed out today. They are exactly what they are. Of course, some things are subjective. Me liking the story of Belial and the Shepherd are definitely subjective. Not going to lie about liking it. Not trying to cheerlead. They hit my fandom bone. There might be books in the future I might not talk about being a fan, but will tell you how impressed I am with their processing. There'll be the middle grade books that will be like, it was okay. It was, and those middle grade books probably worth the money. I mean, Marvel puts out, if we're being honest, Marvel and DC, probably Image too, put out more books than they do good books. The books are sometimes necessary to keep things going. In television, they're called stolosodes. I call them the same thing in comic books. They keep the story going, but they're stalling the pace because there's a setup for something bigger, and they have to fill that particular episode or issue. It is just how entertainment works at times. If you guys have any suggestions to make this show better, you're free to try to read them to me. I will read them. I'm not guaranteeing I will take them. This is not one of those shows that are very subjective. Again, people are asking for my opinions. Today you got them. That is it. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry about the delay for those who are trying to watch this live. We did have some technical problems today. We seem to be over them now. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you the next time we have the Indie Devils due. And today, the Shepherd team and the Belial team got the Devils due.